She thought she was nervous for the interview for the FBI. It's nothing compared to this.
Nothing compared to Roux podcast.
There's no like ring light.
That is true. So, all right, everybody, welcome to.
Have we been on the whole time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
That's what we do.
Welcome to, with that being said, a Roux Fitness podcast. We're in our new gear. It's called our blackout gear. We got black on black. We got some new shirts coming in. That's black on black.
Ooh.
Looks hot. Sarah's wearing all black today. Looks super hot.
I love wearing all black.
A little bit louder. Okay. What'd you say?
I love wearing all black.
Thank you. That's it. Awesome. So we have a very special guest with us, Miss Taylor Newton.
Hello. I'm trying to, let's see, project.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So Taylor's been a member at the gym for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think 5 years now.
Great.
Yeah.
So I was close. I always underestimate time. What?
Nothing.
Yeah. Okay. We also have with us the newest co-host in the show, Emily Schneller, the Joe Burrow of nutrition, the Joe Burrow of 36-year-old female 60 and 100 meter running.
Oh.
Apparently. That's new.
And the Joe Burrow of wives.
Okay.
That's super sweet. And I am Bradley Schneller, your humble servant of the podcast world. So welcome to the show. Awesome. So, yeah, great.
We just stare back at
Y'all are killing it today. Taylor, what do you do?
I am basically an analyst for the FBI. The title is really confusing, and actually they're changing it now. So I'm going to stick with analyst for now,
okay.
working on becoming a special agent.
Can you tell us what you do as an analyst, or is that confidential?
Well, Jonathan said earlier that I need to basically say, like, every response is like, well, if I told you, I have to kill you.
Right.
But the truthfully, no, I wish that was the case because it's just not that cool. But I more or less am doing a lot of data mining.
Data
all day, every day.
It's like what I used to do.
Sounds
Yeah.
super exciting. But when when you become a special agent, you'll be able to fight crime.
Fight all the crime.
You'll be a real life superhero, right? So how did you get into being into the is there something you always wanted to do?
Yes.
Join the Yeah.
Yeah. I've always wanted to be, well, at first I wanted to be a detective, and
Like in the police,
Police
or
detective?
yeah, I didn't really know because I was like 10. And then I was like, well, this serial killer stuff is real fascinating, and I know what they do on Criminal Minds. And so I wanted to be Reed on Criminal Minds for a while, and then I realized that that's not really how that works. And so, but I still interned with them, and then I was able to get a job. So I was like, well, I'm going to do that over graduate school. So it just kind of...
Is there a specific thing you need to study in college to be a prospect for the FBI?
No.
No. It could be anything. So accounting doesn't really help? Is that more CIA?
Well, accounting helps. Like a law degree is going to help, but or like a language would be good.
What do you go to school for?
Psychology.
Oh,
I feel like that could help too.
For Criminal
though.
Minds.
Yeah.
I like it.
Read.
I like it. So did you have to do anything extra to, just you graduated from college and you just applied. Boom.
Well, I interned when I was an undergraduate, and so I got through the process then, and then it was easier for me to transfer over as like an entry level position. Mm-hmm. So I was working like overnight, and yeah.
A little bit louder. You are, I don't know if everyone knows this, but Taylor is one of the strongest persons in the gym. Kudos, Taylor. Were you always athletic?
No, definitely not. I was athletic when I was like going like in grammar school, and then I like completely quit everything in high school and basically just studied the entire time. Like I'm not kidding.
In high school?
In high school. Like I stopped doing like all sports.
Did something happen to make you stop, or you?
I just hated it.
Yeah.
I just hated it, and then like, yeah, I just felt like I wasn't good at it, and so I just moved on. And then in college, like I didn't really prioritize like fitness or anything.
I don't think many people prioritize fitness in college. I mean, everybody goes. Where'd you go to school?
LSU.
Holla. But you
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Like they have the rack and you go to the rack, but like, are you really prioritizing fitness? I don't think anyone does. No.
Well, even like athletically, like I wanted to join the rowing club or whatever, and then like a lot of my friends were doing the triathlon clubs, but I was like just intimidated by it, so I didn't
Right.
want to join. So yeah, it wasn't until I graduated.
So was CrossFit kind of your way
Sport.
back to fitness? So what made you come here? Did
I
somebody
think-
just recommend that you come here, or
Well, the bureau's really into like the CrossFit
Scene.
scene. Like law enforcement is in general, of course.
Yeah.
And so I heard about it, I think through work people, and kind of looked into it. And then I ended up at Roux because more or less y'all were the closest CrossFit gym to my dad's house, which is right down the street.
Awesome.
and she stayed
I
5
stayed.
years.
Yeah, there we go. Even
Yeah.
though you live far away now.
Yeah.
So were you intimidated by it when you started?
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I felt like, it wasn't so much so I wasn't going to walk in the door. You know, I walked
Right.
in though and everybody was like lifting heavy weights and, you know, music was super loud and it was just kind of intimidating. But I tried not to let that get to me because I recognized I had to start somewhere and I didn't see joining like an intramural sport or something was going to get me where I wanted to
No.
be.
Playing kickball will not get you to where you need to
You know
be.
what I mean by that? Like I was going to be intimidated no matter what the environment was, and
Yeah.
I knew this was what was going to help me. So
when you started, was it to get to a point to apply to be an agent, or did you have other goals at the time? Like, were you just trying to get fit to be
yeah,
apply to be a special agent?
I think so because I didn't know enough about CrossFit to have any other goals at the time. So it was like long term. I just wanted to be an agent. I knew what those requirements were. And I wasn't wanting to just go out and run all the time. Like I knew I had tried to do that in the past and follow running programs and it just didn't work. So I wanted to try something that I thought I would like and I would get in shape simultaneously.
How long did it take you before you became comfortable in the CrossFit environment?
Not long at all, like maybe a couple of months, if that.
yeah,
So
you took to it pretty quickly.
But the intimidation factor wears off pretty quickly.
Oh,
you would
yeah.
say.
I mean, honestly, the first class, I think I did a fundamentals, like 3 fundamentals classes.
Yeah.
And I was fine after that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
talking, I think Kelsey did 2 of them and then Shane did 1. And it was very, like, comfortable. I wasn't really nervous anymore after that. So,
Yeah, I think a lot of times people get that like initial intimidation and then they walk in the door and realize that we're not meatheads and that we're nice and
Not that meatheads can't be nice, Em. Come
right.
on.
I'm just saying like you meet us and it's like, oh, I didn't need to be intimidated by this at all.
well, yeah, it's just more supportive and not
Yeah.
as much of a competition
Yeah.
environment as I suspected it would be.
It can be.
It can be,
We
but
choose to make it not.
right from the outset, that's kind of what you see, and
Yeah.
like that's what attracts a lot of people, and myself included. But you know, it was also more supportive than I thought it would be too, which is great, and then which ultimately allowed me to stay.
I mean, look, there's plenty of rivalries in the gym. You know, me versus Jonathan. That's one. Me
Who
versus
else?
Sarah.
I was about to say who else?
It's a rivalry.
Bradley versus the world.
Me versus no, I'm kidding. Who do you have any rivalries in the gym?
Make sure I'm consistently better than Charlie, but other than
Nice.
that,
For those of you who don't
Charlie,
know,
that's a good
Charlie
segue.
is Taylor's fiance.
yes,
When's the date? Do y'all have a date?
September 26th
Awesome.
of this year.
And
So,
you two have been together since high school, right?
yeah, since we were 14,
Woo!
so it'll be half our lives in November.
Things got to be interesting if you've been together for 14 and still going strong.
Can we talk about your tattoo? Because I know what your tattoo is.
Oh, yeah. It's I have a tattoo on my foot
So
that's
sweet.
Charlie has the same one on his shoulder, and it's the coordinates, the New Orleans coordinates. And there's a little bit of a backstory there. I mean, I wanted to go skydiving, and I presented either skydiving or tattoo, and Charlie's like, "We're getting a tattoo. We're not going skydiving."
I would be right in there with that decision.
Yeah. I was kind of like, man, why not? So.
What is
matching
there significance
tattoos.
of the foot or the shoulder? Or?
Not really, no. I just wanted a tattoo on my foot, I guess, was just the best. I mean, literally, it was like, I think I decided a week prior that we were going to get
I
a
feel
tattoo.
like
So-
I always want to get a tattoo, but I can never decide what I want it to be. So therefore, I should never get a tattoo because I feel like I would be tired of it after 6 months. To
You
a
should
year.
not, because you're the same way with cars. Like, he gets real tired of things quickly. Other than me. That's good.
Louder.
Okay.
Yeah. So you and Charlie entered the gym together, right? And Charlie was already in the FBI or joined the FBI together? No, Charlie joined the FBI after you, right?
Right. Yeah. He was still at LSU when I started at Roux and with the Bureau. So when he graduated LSU, it was about a year after me. He started probably with the Bureau maybe 4 or 5 months after he graduated, and then with Roux like right around the same time. So he's only like a year behind me as far as like professional work experience and gym experience.
Right.
So, yeah.
So
Charlie's the only person you're competitive with at the gym.
Maybe like a little bit Krista Mann.
I was going to say, you and
Me
Kristen.
too. Like, you're always like, what'd you lift?
Oh, well, yeah, y'all set the standards for me because otherwise I'm like, I don't feel like it. So I'm always asking
Yeah.
Emily and Sarah, Chelsea, always. I'm like, what are y'all lifting? Just so, yeah, I mean, I'm not like, I don't know.
Yeah. You try to go toe to toe, and you do. You beat me in a lot of things.
Well, I have
No,
to,
we're
like,
not a
see what
competitive gym.
the
You're just
standard
listening
is.
to the commentary on how competitive it is.
It's
So-
friendly competition.
All right. So the goal was always to be a special agent, right?
Yes.
There are fitness standards to be a special agent. That is the PFT test,
Right.
okay, which stands for physical fitness test, right? What is the test? Can you let everyone know?
Sure. It is a minute. You have a minute to do as many sit-ups as you can do, 5-minute break, 300-meter sprint, 5-minute break, unbroken set of push-ups, as many as you can do without stopping, untimed, 5-minute break, and then a 1.5-mile run.
I love it. We're gonna do this on Thursday.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, we are doing this on Thursday.
This Thursday or next Thursday?
What would you prefer?
Well, Jonathan's going next Thursday. So
So we'll do it next Thursday. Then.
Yeah.
We'll
That's
do
what
it.
I figured you'd be joining us for our next.
Well, we'll just do it at the
Our
gym.
next one.
We're gonna do it at the gym. Everybody.
Oh, you're going to. Oh, I see.
I'm
He's
gonna
gonna program it.
Oh, okay. Are we going over? Are we doing it right outside?
We'll do it
the
right
gym, Or
outside.
are we going to
We'll do it right
track?
outside so we can keep it together.
Okay.
So can you break down the point system though, like how that works?
It's complicated.
'Cause I think
It is complicated, but I mean, essentially, it boils down to you have to get at least 1 point per test, which is so many for men and so many for women, and then but 12 points overall. So you know you need to either at least get 3 points per test or somehow break it down like that. But you need to pass every test. So like I struggle with the 1.5 miles, and it's because I go into the 1.5 miles passing, but then I can't get a 1 on that section. So
Is that typically the hardest part for people, or is it something else?
from what it seems like from talking to other people, yes. I think it's just because, I mean, one of the guys I work with was saying that, you know, it's kind of meant to fatigue every part of your body, and then the real test is the 1.5 miles.
Right.
So you're exhausted, and then, but you don't feel tired because you have the 5 minutes, but then you start, and like the second lap, like things start to really slow down.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think people realize how much you use your core and your upper body when you run.
Right.
But when you do those first 3 things and then you have to do 1.5 miles at a sufficient time, it becomes real difficult. So-
Right. And yeah, I mean, I think the only other thing for the run is that you just can't stop. So you can walk, but I mean, you're not going to pass if you walk usually.
Now, you have been doing nutrition coaching with Emily for how long?
It'll be 2 years in October.
What
She's officially my longest client.
What made you decide to start? Was it the test? Did you decide that you needed nutrition help in order to complete the test?
Yes. Yeah.
What made you come to that conclusion, though? So, like, a lot of people probably think you just work out and you can
Right. Yeah.
pass the test, okay? But
Right.
what do you think was the catalyst that's, came up in your head, like, I also need help in my nutrition in order to be able to do this?
I think it was just a matter of like kind of over time. I'd been at Roux for, I think, 3 years, I guess, 3 years. And then having kind of ebbed and flowed fitness wise, having put on weight, and muscle, of course, too, but just having a hard time with my endurance and my speed. I could lift more than a lot of people. I could lift more than anything I've ever lifted before. I'd gotten a lot stronger, but that's not what's being tested for the PFT.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'd be advantageous for me to lose some body fat and kind of change my body composition in order to facilitate, running faster and kind of changing my programming a little bit to focus on passing the fit test rather than getting stronger in the gym with various lifts and stuff.
It's interesting that you say that. And I think a lot of the things that we do end up being some type of mathematical equation. Okay. And what I mean by that is we have a body composition analysis here, or a scanner. It's called the InBody 570. And there is a lean mass control at the top right of the results. And in those results, it's a recommendation for how much body fat you need to lose in pounds, and then how much muscle you need to gain, okay, to be basically ideal for your age, your height,
Gender.
your gender, okay. So the interesting thing about that, though, is if you gain X amount of muscle, it will deduct that pounds and body fat. So the more muscle you gain, the less body fat you need to lose, and vice versa. But it boils down to an equation. And what I mean by that is, in order for people to do a pull-up, okay, if you are super heavy, like if your body weight is super heavy, you better be fucking strong, okay? Because otherwise you just can't pull that up. So I always tell people the easiest way to get a pull-up, besides just practicing, is lose weight. You lose weight, you'll be able to do a pull-up. And the same thing goes for running, and a lot of other things that require a certain amount of fitness. The more muscle you gain, if you lose body fat with that, the faster you get, the more you'll be able to do some of these body weight things. It's not just pulling a barbell off the ground. So I think it's interesting that you recognize that, and that the nutrition portion is such a huge help, because what we find, especially in functional fitness, okay, or what I would call more of like an athletic fitness type environment, is people will lose weight initially, and then the better they get, the more intense their workouts get, the more energy that they are exerting in that hour, which they couldn't exert in the beginning. Thus, they get hungrier, and then people tend to eat more, and then their body plateaus, they stall out, they're wondering why aren't they losing the weight, but they are fitter.
Right.
And that was the case with you. You were definitely fitter. You were definitely stronger, but your body composition didn't change until you added the nutrition piece to the puzzle.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just, I wanted to kind of make a lifestyle change. I was ready to, change some of my habits just in general, and not just with eating. And so, I mean, that's been huge, because I've always ate like a pretty like balanced diet, I would think. And so I think Emily helped me see that it's more of, it's a total package. It's not just, reducing calories, certainly, but just in general, like the whole concept has helped me change the way I approach the PFT in general.
So I remember when we sat down for our initial consultation almost 2 years ago, and you sat across
from me.
Diet. Yeah, you were asking lots of questions about keto, which we never did.
Well, in your defense, like I went through that keto phase and told everybody, what people don't realize is that I was essentially doing macros, and it only did it for 30 days.
I think I don't vilify the keto diet. I think that it can work for some people. It's never something that we, went through together. But I just remember you sitting across the table from me, and you said, you know what? My goal is to pass this PFT. I want your help with it, but I'm pretty sure my body is just the way that it is, and this is how I am meant to look. And what do you think now?
Well, obviously, I disagree with that statement. Knowing like how much has changed, I didn't even realize that was something that I could improve on. And I think it was just from years of trying certain things, seeing some progress, but ultimately, like, because before, I remember I used to think, oh, I need to weigh 120 pounds because I'm 5'4", and that's what I'm told I'm supposed to weigh. And and thinking I'm 170 at the time, like 170 something pounds. How, like, where is 50 pounds going to come from?
Yeah.
50 plus pounds. And like now I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life and I only weigh 10 pounds less, really, or maybe 15 pounds
15
less.
pounds left.
But it's changed so much. My body composition has
Yeah,
changed
you've gained
a
muscle
lot.
too. Yeah.
So that makes a big difference. But I think it's just the perspective piece. I didn't really know what my goal was supposed to be with body composition. I knew that wasn't it because that's just not me.
Yeah.
So
The other thing I loved about Taylor was she came in knowing a lot. Like, I have people that come in knowing nothing. Taylor was not that case. She was using words like caloric deficit and energy balance. I was like, okay. But I think with you, and tell me if I'm wrong, it was like too much information almost, and
Yes.
you needed a filter.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was information overload. I
Yeah.
mean, I told Emily, like, I used to really, and I do like to read about it. I'm interested in the nutrition piece, just in general. And I think, there's just so much information and ideas circulating that it's hard to figure out what's right. It was hard to figure out what was right for me.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, that's a good idea. And then that's a good idea. And, you hear so much and you don't really know.
You don't have direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There are a lot of fitness and maybe nutrition. I'm going to use the word, you said this the other day, influencers out there. Okay. And they pump out a lot of information, probably because it gets clicks,
Yeah.
probably because it gets downloads in terms of their podcast, and also because they probably sell supplements.
Yeah.
Okay. What's interesting is they give very small pieces of the puzzle. All these people have all of these pieces floating around in their head. And I heard this, I'm going to try this. I heard this worked for this person. No one ever sees the entire puzzle or has all of the pieces, right? And so there's lots of failed attempts at trying different things, which isn't bad.
All right. That's what I was about to say.
It's
like,
not
it's a good thing to experiment.
Right.
And see what
It's definitely a good
happens.
thing to experiment. But I feel like you and I, and I'm seeing this right now with, I'll just say it, Goda, okay? Yeah, I'm going to say it. I don't care, all right? There's people out there, and they want to have, like, I have the answer. This is the absolute answer for everyone, and that is not true.
I think the more sure you are that you have the answer for everybody, you just don't have enough information yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So has nutrition coaching been what you thought it would be?
No, not at all. I want to say yes because I was confident that I would see results.
And you
eventually.
have.
Right. So like,
Tell us the
yes.
results you've seen.
So I have, I've lost body fat and gained muscle. I'm stronger than I was when I started, I think, or at least consistently. The bar didn't go down much.
And I know that for those of you listening, that might sound weird, but the reality is, and we see this all the time, if you lose a lot of weight, you're going to lose muscle mass.
Right.
So it's a weird thing to process. Emily and I talk about this too. We see a lot of scans on a daily basis. And there are some people that probably have 20, 30 pounds more muscle mass than me, but cannot lift within 50, 60 pounds on lifts.
Right.
As to me. So I don't think it's an absolute show of strength, but it shows the differences in dry, lean, or lean muscle mass.
Okay, so 64.8 pounds of skeletal muscle mass when you started. Now you have 66.6 pounds, so gained muscle. Body fat mass was 53.9 pounds, and now you're down to 37.4
That's incredible.
pounds of fat. So you've changed your body composition in a favorable way by 20 pounds, and it's completely sustainable.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's been great kind of figuring out how to go forward with Emily, of course, because I'm not letting you go.
Taylor, what were your expectations? Like when you signed up for nutrition coaching, you know, we kind of hit on that, and you talked about you knew it would be successful, but it is different. So like, what were your expectations of what the process would look like versus what it actually was?
I thought it would be more following some kind of like structured conventional diet plan. Not so much maybe meal planning, but kind of Emily would say, this is what you need to be doing and this is what I'm going to do. And it was less about, it was more about what I need to now do instead of like looking at what I was already doing and changing little things, you know, that I probably didn't even recognize were habits of mine that could be changed, you know. So I guess it would be, to answer your question, is like, I thought she would say, you do X and this is how you pass the fit test and this is how you lose the weight. And it was more of like, well, what are you doing now? Okay, well, you know, eat slower and sleep more and stuff like that. And I'm like,
duh.
Well, okay, I can do that, but I don't know what's going to happen. And then like 2 years later, here I am. You know what I mean by that? So it's like I was these little tiny habits that I weren't expecting to have such a
I think you were
influence.
frustrated in the beginning too, because I remember the first habit that we worked on was eating slowly because you had a tendency to just overeat. So we worked a lot on just tuning into fullness cues and slowing down your eating and you were like, that's it. This is it. This is what I'm doing. You're just telling me to eat slower. Like that's
I want to touch on that.
And I was like, yep.
Just to be clear with everyone, like you went into more advanced dieting later on in the process.
Right. But it was not right off the bat.
Right. I think people get confused. I mean, we just got an email today from someone and they quit the program because it wasn't what they expected. They wanted a regimented, specific diet plan. I think they were in the program for a month. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the reality is that is what everyone else does.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would ask, okay, if you're someone out there that's looking for that specifically, how many times have you done that in the past? How many times have you turned around, required nutrition coaching again and again and again, instead of working on the sustainable habits that last a lifetime? Our goal is for you not to need us forever. I mean, in this case, I know you're trying to work with Emily forever.
Not going anywhere.
Despite the fact that maybe I think Emily's tried to kick Taylor out of the program multiple times. And Emily does kick people out of the program when they reach their goals.
Yeah.
But it is the way we coach, it's a slow process because we want this to be a sustainable lifestyle. I have a nutrition client that says he wants to enjoy eating. He used to be a chef, okay? And he doesn't want to not like this. And I said, good, because that's not what we're about. We want this to be.
I like eating.
Yeah, I love eating. Like
Right.
I like to cook awesome things, and enjoy food. And what we're trying to do, it's a long-term plan to create a sustainable lifestyle for you, one of health, wellness, okay? And that supports your fitness and get you to the goals that you want to get to.
So can we talk about the gray board real quick? Sarah has a snarky gray board that she takes pictures of on Fridays and adds it to our Instagram feed. Did you see what it said this week?
No, not this week.
It said, your body is not Amazon Prime. You won't get the body that you want in 2 days.
Right.
Like, it is a process.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, so look, if you're someone out there that's like, I want to be put on a diet plan, I want meals, whatever we're not for you. Don't click the form.
100%.
Okay. Because what we're trying to do is change your life.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in some snarky way. Okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, realistically, that's what it is.
Let's talk, Taylor, about, so you've talked about body composition changes. What other changes have you noticed?
Well, and that's what another thing that I was going to say was that, I mean, I did eventually pass the fit test.
Yeah, you did.
Last year, which was, I mean, I was so shocked when that happened because like just all of a sudden, I mean, I went out there and
How many times did you attempt it before?
I think we were on like a once a month kind of plan.
Yeah.
So it was, probably close to 20 times, give or take.
I remember where I was when you texted me and told me that you asked me, can I call you right now? Because I'm just in tears.
Now, for everyone to know, though, that was practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Right,
official. So
right.
like you still haven't officially passed it, but you had a setback.
Right. I had an ankle injury, but
Is that from running or?
right, from running during the stay at home period, I was running. I was doing all the remote Roux workouts, which was a lot of like double
Jumping,
unders,
plyometric stuff.
Exactly, and
So
and
it had
running on top of it.
Increased volume.
Very much so. And so I think it was I just overloaded it. And, but now it's getting back to where it was before. So I'm starting to amp my training back up. But like with you guys and Jonathan, you know, we're not trying to overload it and do the same thing again.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I noticed, so I passed the PFT. I noticed just in the gym in general, like the workouts have gotten easier to, you know, do RX and still like not get time capped.
Yeah,
like I noticed that now. Like I don't have like a lot of this, like I want to pass out and throw up on the floor every day. Cause I mean, that's what I was struggling with before we started working together. It was like, I feel like I'm fit, but I can't do X, Y, and Z. It hurts so much. And it was frustrating. And so I don't feel that anymore. And then in general, I feel like my mindset has improved tremendously. So that's a big win.
And we've worked a lot on that too.
Yeah.
Just like visualizing what you want and, you know. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because that's the whole thing about the fit test. It's like a long time to be, you know, running around the track, around and around and around, and you get in your head. And so a big part of passing it was being able to like know I could pass it and stay in that headspace.
So you can visualize it now.
Yes.
She's done it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I know, but I mean, so now it's a lot easier.
Right. I mean, I know I can do it. You know, it's just, especially when I know I put the work in, you know, the last couple of months, like I'm confident.
Right. Awesome. How long, like at what point during nutrition coaching did all of a sudden everything start to click?
I would say like, I feel like every couple of months I have a big win. Mm-hmm. I start to kind of come around to different things we've been working on. It just takes me a little bit to kind of get there. But so I would say it wasn't like one point in time. It's just kind of every so often, like recently, I feel like we've kind of dialed in my macros a lot more, and it's starting to, you know, I have the motivation from needing to pass the actual fit test soon. And just kind of making sure I stick to, say, my targets and seeing the results of that, it does a lot for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm able to then kind of move forward and progress even more so because I'm actually, you know, I'm putting in the work and I'm seeing the progress from it. So there's been a couple of moments like that.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working together for 2 years and it definitely has not been a linear process.
No.
I think in a check-in thing that you filled out the other day, it was like, I feel like I'm in the one step back of this 2 step forwards, 1 step back process. I mean, that's normal though.
That's normal for me.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Emily gets the behind the curtain stuff with me all the time. And how often am I like that?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a little bit crazy in my head.
Normal for everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think the biggest thing was just being able to check in with Emily once a week. And having the in-body scans every other week or whatever we, you know, decided to do at the time, and just the consistency there. Like I knew if I kind of reverted back a little bit, it was just a matter of kind of waiting it out, and it wasn't like I failed. It was just like, okay, some things are going on, acknowledge it and move on. Whereas in the past, if I was by myself, I didn't have any accountability or anyone to kind of keep me consistent.
Right. Go ahead.
What habits do you see yourself doing now that you have worked really hard to move toward? Like, compare yourself now to 2 years ago. What habits specifically do you see are vastly different?
I would say primarily the way I spend my time is a lot different now. I don't know if I'm answering your question with that, but just kind of prioritizing my my health and the things I'm trying to get out of you know, my time in the gym and stuff like that has changed.
What did you used to do?
I used to go out to eat all the time. I used to go out on the weekends all the time with my friends, and I wasn't prioritizing myself really at all, and I experienced a lot of anxiety and a lot of other issues I was having was as a result of kind of the way I was spending my time.
Yeah.
So like that, and then you could break that down into little things like I do eat slower now, and I go to bed earlier because I'm home more.
Yeah.
I'm eating more. I'm eating better food, better quality food.
Do you feel like you're missing out on anything because of all those things?
No, actually, like I've learned how to incorporate that into like things I look forward to doing now. Like I'm excited to cook. I'm excited to, kind of spend time at home. I look forward to that now. And I don't really feel like I'm missing out on some of the activities I was doing before. Now, I mean, of course, with like the COVID, stay at home restrictions and stuff, like you don't really have a lot of those options anymore.
Right.
So that helps. But it's been a good experience now. So
I love cooking. I love it, and I love. This sounds weird, but I love counting my macros, and I kind of get upset. Look, don't get me wrong. I love to take breaks from counting, and live life. Like we recently went to the beach. We brought a scale with us that lasted for a day. Yeah. We didn't count anything past that first day. Food scale, that is, y'all. And so like, I love doing that, perfectly fine with that. And then when you get back home, dial it back in. For those of you who don't know, I have another podcast that I record on Wednesday nights. It's called That Dad Life. If you want to check it out on iTunes, it is definitely not
Shameless plug.
Yeah, it is definitely not suitable for work, and you probably shouldn't listen to it with your kids in the car. Okay, but we record that on Wednesday nights. We tend to drink a lot of whiskey on Wednesday nights, and it's kind of like that's my thing. So I'm a little sad that I typically stop counting my macros around 3 p.m. that day, and then it's shit show the rest of the night. But I look forward to Thursdays getting right back in. I don't know. It's just the science behind all of it. I've gotten into a habit of weighing myself in the morning and weighing myself in the afternoon. And it's for some people, that might not be healthy.
Right.
But for me,
You're just like, neat.
yeah, because like
What happened today?
And look, I got the Whoop too, which is pretty accurate. It's not entirely accurate, but I'm like, now I'm tracking my calories on the Whoop versus how many did I put in with my food scale versus what does my weight look like in the morning, afternoon. Last night before I went to bed, I thought this was completely neat. Jeez. Yeah, I'm giving you guys a lot of information. So yesterday morning, I weighed 185 pounds. When I went to sleep last night, I weighed 188 point something pounds, put 3 pounds of food in me. When I woke up this morning, I weighed 183 pounds. So
neat.
I don't know. I thought that was cool. But anyway, there begins to be, it's like you gamify your life. I'm not missing out on anything. I enjoy everything I eat, and it's just a lot of fun. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be difficult, and it doesn't need to be like some type of eternal suffering.
right.
Yeah. You've been counting macros now for almost a year.
About a year. Yeah. I mean, I have to take breaks every now and again, or I just get kind of lackadaisical with it. Knowing that the fit test is coming up soon, it's like I said, it's motivated me to, make sure I'm weighing and measuring and tracking everything. So that way, if we need to make adjustments, we know what to adjust, and it's based off of actual, practice and not just estimates and guessing. So, that's been helpful. But yeah, I mean, it's ebbs and flows. It's something, it's hard to kind of stay in all the time, but, I'll take 2-week vacations and not track and just try to be mindful. That's where like some of the other habits and consistency comes in.
Yeah.
Just like
that's when you fall back on those initial things that we worked on, and just like
macros.
tuning into hunger and fullness cues and eating slowly and making sure that you're getting enough sleep. And
So you're saying the first 12 weeks, the habit-based portion of your nutrition programming, that works for life?
It works for life. So you mentioned you are taking the fit test officially coming up. Tell us what you just kind of went through in terms of the whole application process.
Oh, okay. So the application is kind of an extensive period of time, or it can be at least. And so I had applied for a special agent in February and had done a couple of couple of things that were more administrative initially, but then recently did the interview portion. I did the written and the interview portion, and they're scored together, and passed that. So that was a big win because it was definitely, I had a talk. I remember talking to you before I took the interview, and I was like, this could all be for nothing, in a sense. And we kind of had to reframe that idea. But it was definitely like, I just want to get to the fit test. I worked so hard with that in mind that, if you don't pass the interview, you don't get that opportunity. And I would just, so anyway, but I did pass it. So that worked out.
Yay. At one point, because this relates to the FBI too, at one point you gave me something as like a thank you.
Yeah, it was right after I think I passed the practice test.
Tell everybody what that was and the significance.
Oh, yeah. So it was a FBI challenge coin, and I had Charlie actually get it from Quantico when he was there.
That's cool.
So I could give it to Emily after I had passed the practice fit test the first time, just kind of as a thank you for helping me. And, we kind of give those to each other in the bureau as kind of like a way to commemorate, the time, the teamwork, and, the efforts kind of we, all put in together as kind of a thank you. So I have a couple from some of the cases that I've worked from, like DEA, and I think it's just kind of a nice way. It's kind of our way to show our appreciation for working together. So
I love it.
That's awesome.
Tell us what's next after you pass the fit test, because you will. What happens next for you?
Well, there's a waiting period. There's, the rest of the application, but it's more on like FBI headquarters. That's not so much on me anymore, especially because I'm already in the bureau.
Background check, lie detector tests.
Right. Those kind of things, your drug tests, all that stuff.
Are you a spy?
Right. So I have to do all of that again, but thankfully it's not the first polygraph you take, because that's not a party. But so this is just kind of a re-up on my background, which is pretty smooth usually. And so that usually takes I don't know, it can be as quick as a month, or it can be a little bit longer, especially with everything going on. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then I get married in September, hopefully, at the end of September. And if COVID wasn't going on, maybe I could expect to go by, right after that. With that going on, I don't really know.
Yeah.
But,
so you go to Quantico.
Yeah, go to Quantico. It, like I said, before COVID, it would be 6 months at Quantico, or just under 6 months. And then, you take the fit test again there. And then, you pass all your tests and your courses there. And then you're sent out to your first field office. So
that's what makes me sad about coaching you, Taylor, is essentially I'm coaching you to leave us. And that makes me sad.
Yeah, but then you told me about the stacked coaching.
Yeah, virtual.
So I'm like, I get to have
Okay,
Emily
so let's talk about that for a second, because I've seen huge progress with you, and I have tried to kick you out of, you've essentially reached the goal that you set when you came for our initial consultation. And usually when that happens, I'm like, okay, go spread your wings, little bird. Mm-hmm. And you have told me you're not getting rid of me. Tell me why.
Well, I think initially it was because I didn't think that, it's kind of like I have achieved so much in the last couple of years working with you that I kind of feel like the limit doesn't exist, in
terms of what you can achieve.
Right,
yeah.
right.
I hear that a lot.
Yeah, it opened a lot of doors for me, and I'm still continuing to improve. It's not that I don't feel like I've plateaued necessarily. And so I still see a lot of room for adjustment and improvement, and so that's why I don't want to leave.
Yeah. You just keep setting new goals.
Yeah.
I get that, because, there was something that I'm super self-conscious about is my love handles. And I had someone tell me that the only way I was going to get rid of those is through high definition liposuction. And I actually considered it. Like, I was like, well, maybe, if this makes me feel better about myself. And I want to say it's like $15,000, $20,000 to do that. And I'm
Nope.
like, nope. But
Yeah.
when I'm a nutrition coach now, I have 4 or 5 clients. But Emily is also coaching me at the same time. And once we kind of took a different approach with my macros, I had counted macros in the past, but we kind of took a little bit different approach this time. I started to see those like waste away. And then I was like, oh shit, like I don't need anything. Yeah. What is possible?
Yeah.
Like I could change anything with a little bit of time, habits,
Consistency.
and consistency,
Yeah.
And I'm really seeing that door start to open up for myself. And I just want to share it with everyone.
Yeah.
But it's tough. So, I mean, for you, for someone that you see maybe struggling in the gym or struggling with their nutrition, or maybe not even in the gym yet and just don't know where to go, I mean, what would you tell that person?
Well, like my friend Shelly, I immediately was like, well, let's go. You should go check in with Emily.
Right.
I mean, I'm immediately going to direct them here because, I mean, I've had such a good experience. But I think, like, in general, just kind of being patient and kind with yourself and not kind of holding yourself to some kind of standard that is somebody else's goal or something like that, and kind of comparing yourself isn't going to be the fastest way to see results. So,
Yeah.
and I think, having Emily or one of the other nutrition coaches kind of be there for support and guidance, because it is so much of like an emotional and mental roller coaster that like Emily has been more of like therapist support system than I ever thought she would be.
She's
been
1,000
wonderful.
times better at that than me.
So, I mean, that's just been my experience. And I know that part is crucial. So, yeah, that's probably what I would say.
Well, you are a pleasure to coach, though, too, because you're so thoughtful and curious, and you come to our meetings with, hey, this happened, let's talk about this. You're willing to open up and have that dialogue where I can be like, well, what about thinking about that this way, Yeah. And I think that you being so open and curious with yourself and your own habits and bringing that to the table for us to talk about has made it a lot easier for me to help facilitate that change. So I'm just so proud of you.
Yeah, I mean, having the conversation and just hearing, like, having somebody else hear the words and expressions I'm using kind of gives a lot of good insight into how I feel about things. I remember one time, it was probably over a year ago, before I had passed the fit test, and I was talking about how I think like how hot it was outside, and then I was worried about when, we were coming back around to summer and having to train in the summer, and I'm just using a lot of negative self-talk and just saying how hard it was. And I don't think I realized how much I was kind of, that was what I was saying in my head and saying to other people. And it wasn't until Emily was like, well, kind of called me on it, that I stopped talking about it that way.
Most people do that.
And that's been important for me.
Yeah.
To kind of see it more as like an exciting challenge and less of, the hardest thing I'll ever do.
Yeah. Negative self-talk is a habit.
Right.
And the beautiful thing about the fact that it is a habit is that habits can change, and it takes practice. And the first way around it is to change what you verbally say, kind of catch yourself and say it in a different way, spin it to positive. But when you start changing and noticing what you verbally say out loud, then the voice in your head starts to change along with it. It is a process, though, and it takes practice. Definitely easier said than done, but I see that as such a change with you. Like, you do not put yourself down anymore.
And when you talk about limits, negative self-talk limits you to what you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So awesome. You guys have anything to add?
No, I think we covered quite a bit.
I think it's a perfect way to end it. So, all right, y'all, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us. 5-star reviews only. Make sure to leave some kind words. If you're interested in nutrition coaching, Emily, where can people go?
Go to Roux.fitness. There's a drop down for nutrition. We actually changed the way that the process works, so you can schedule a free consultation with me now for 20 minutes, and that's all done virtually. And then we can kind of talk about your goals and how we might be able to help and set you up with a coach.
Awesome, y'all. All right. Appreciate it, Taylor. It was
Thank you
lovely
for having
speaking
me.
with you. We wish you the best in the PFT talk. We'll see you around the gym. Love y'all. Bye.